Today we're talking about those things that go creep in the night. Yes, I'm talking about G.I. Joe, and I'm talking about the Night Creepers. The Night Creepers are a secret syndicate of high-tech ninjas. This had been in place for some time, and G.I. Joe didn't know about them until some Cobra documents were captured, which revealed the contract between Cobra Commander's organization and the Night Creepers. On behalf of Cobra, they were engaging in wet work, intelligence gathering, and other covert ops around the world, contracted specifically by Cobra Commander. This contract was set up once Cobra Commander realized he needed options outside of the Arashikage and Koga Ninja Clan operatives and mercenaries to employ. All investigations into their background, their structure, and history back to who founded this ninja cabal have been met with dead ends, dead bodies, and missing persons. What we do know is that they don't follow traditional methods of ancestors, opting instead for high-tech weaponry over simple bladed and blunt weapons. These are highly skilled operators, training for years in fieldcraft, spycraft, various forms of intelligence gathering, and multiple forms of martial arts and technology training on things like cloaking devices, surveillance equipment, E&E tools, and a wide array of modern weaponry. This makes them incredibly hard to track down, difficult to knock down, and nearly impossible to keep down. The Ultimate Guide to G.I. Joe reveals that working names for the Night Creepers were things like Ghost Dragons, Brotherhood of the Were-Tigers, and Ghost Tigers. When the Night Creepers are not out in the field opping, they're working as accountants and busy creating new tax shelters for Cobra. They're headed up by a central figure called Night Creeper Leader, a mantle passed down in secret. Night Creepers have undergone a medical procedure which now makes them incapable of feeling any pain. At one time, Night Creeper Leader was a guy named Aleph. In Hebrew, Aleph can mean chief or number one, so it's possible that in this case, that Aleph is actually his title and not his true name. And based on this, as well as some of the glyphs depicted in comic books and their headgear, it's possible that the Night Creepers are descendants from perhaps a breakaway sect of some Judeo-Berber communities, perhaps even the Barbary pirates or even the nomadic Bedouins that also inspired Star Wars Tusken Raiders, which happened to overlap with the Berber and Tuareg people of North Africa. Night Creepers first appeared in Larry Hama and Marvel Comics' G.I. Joe, a Real American Hero comic book series with issue 107. This is when we see the Night Creepers meeting with Cobra Commander under the light of burning torches at midnight atop the ruins of the Cobra Consulate building in New York. It was the perfect opportunity for them to integrate their services after the chaos caused by the likes of the Baroness, Destro, and even Zartan, who'd somehow escaped certain death by making it out of the buried freighter on Cobra Island with Billy Kessler, Cobra Commander's own son. Truth be told, it was a mutually beneficial arrangement. Cobra Commander's first assignment for the Night Creepers was to make an example of a certain traitor to Cobra Commander, someone it turns out that the Night Creepers had also been hunting now for years on their own. The problem was he was currently in U.S. government custody. Night Creeper Leader said it would be done, then shot the slip of paper with the traitor's name on it right into the wall with his crossbow, right next to Cobra Commander's head, even as more Night Creepers made a show of having easily penetrated the consulate building and gotten around the Cobra garrison there. So who was this traitor they were about to hunt down? It was Storm Shadow. Storm Shadow, it turns out, was with Stalker after escaping from General Crothers' DOA Dirty Tricks outfit, and they were hiding out at Storm Shadow's pad at the Montana Towers, also in New York City. It wasn't a fancy condo though. They went up the elevator shaft to the water tower on the roof, and that was Stormy's hideout / dojo. Aleph and the Night Creepers ascended Lady Liberty all the way up to her torch in the secret room inside, which was used as a holding pen by General Crothers, being that it's been closed to the public since 1916 after the Black Tom Island explosion right there in New York Harbor. Seeing that holding cell empty, they immediately knew next to check the water tower. Aleph took Night Creepers Ta, Gimel, Resh, Daleth, Shin, and Teth to ascend Montana Towers, some to breach, some to monitor with visual and audio equipment. Storm Shadow detected them, and so he and Stalker moved to flank and make contact. They took out Gimel, Resh, and Daleth. Then Ta was taken out with an arrow center mass. Storm Shadow then took on the ninjas on the rooftop and on the side of the condo high-rise until Storm Shadow made it into the subway, which is where Storm Shadow ran into Scarlet, who was still recovering from the bullet that glanced off her skull during an assassination attempt. The Night Creepers shot a volley of bolts at them with their crossbows, causing Stormy and Scarlet to tumble onto the subway tracks right in front of an approaching subway train. But they were okay. They made it onto the express train and out of the station safely. Well, sort of. Storm Shadow had a knife in his back, so he passed out and collapsed. Scarlet took Storm Shadow to the same room where she had been recovering. And once they linked up with Snake Eyes, they took Storm Shadow for treatment in an ambulance. And en route, Stalker deduced that the piece of the ninja uniform with dust on it that also smelled burnt must have come from the Cobra consulate building, and they immediately knew where to counterattack now. And as the ambulance drove past the destroyed consulate, Snake Eyes jumped out the back of the ambulance. Aleph was inside the building meeting with Cobra Commander, being scolded for not having proof of Storm Shadow's death. As they were being berated, Snake Eyes attacked, slicing them up with his pair of edged weapons from his 1989 action figure and much later the 25th anniversary figure. Stalker rolled up on Snake Eyes 6 and told Cobra Commander that Snake Eyes' message was to get out of town immediately, to leave his friends alone, as he can now see how easily Snake Eyes can get to Cobra Commander's throat, even with a legion of ninjas and vipers protecting him. Later, in the Emirate of Benzine, after the tragedy in the desert, Ninja Force showed up and ended up in a DX with more Night Creepers. Cool Breeze and another Joe unit looked on as the ninjas made quick work of the Night Creepers. A few issues later, Destro fled in a Cobra heavy lift helicopter into the south of France from Castle Destro with help from Chuckles, Zartan, and Billy Kessler. So Cobra Commander put out a hit order on Destro. Everyone from assassins in Marseille, hitmen in Beirut, and a cabal of creepers in Zurich, Switzerland answered the call, with a $20 million bounty up for grabs. The Night Creepers, it turns out, were headquartered at a Swiss bank as their cover and laundering operation, and on the public-facing side a traditional financial business complete with a board of directors. Perhaps if they were descended from the Barbary pirates, this was a way to launder that money, clean it, and legitimize it. They all agreed to take on the contract by stabbing the wooden conference table with their flamberge-style weapons. After Chuckles, Destro, and the group made it onto a tramp steamer bound for Beirut, they were intercepted by the Creepers, who fast-roped onto the top deck from their Mi-8 type helo for a fight. These Night Creepers were quickly taken down, and as Sky Creeper 7, piloting the chopper, began to radio back as sitrep, Destro shot Sky Creeper 7 right out of the sky with his wrist rocket. A couple weeks later, the BTF Freedom Fighters called in the Creepers to help them stake out major Mediterranean ports for the inbound steamer vessel. Once they had confirmation, all parties converged on Lebanon to await the fugitives' arrival. Night Creepers used advanced optics and thermal equipment to scan the ship, detecting no heartbeats in the process. So they all jumped in a rib to scan the surrounding waters. But it was a trick because Destro and the crew were hiding in the walk-in freezer to hide their heat signatures. Destro said he remembered that the Creepers were trying to cut into Mars Industries' market share on IR detectors, so he used that against them. And then later on shore, this group met up with the Ninja Force and a furious battle of ninjas ensued. Afterward, they headed to Zurich to Creepers' headquarters with help from a kid named Rashid. They dropped onto the roof of the Citadel of Night Creepers with air commando gliders, while inside Creeper High Command gathered to discuss upcharging Cobra. Ninja Force battled the Creepers while Rashid hacked into the operating system to install a binary virus in their mainframe. Destro then demanded Baroness be freed and that the bounty on his head be removed, or else he'd use the virus that Rashid installed to wipe out all of Cobra Commander's numerous bank accounts. Destro then told Creeper High Command that he'd blame the virus on them if he and his friends were not able to walk out safely, which would mean that Cobra Commander would bring all of his Cobra forces to bear on the Night Creepers. Later, a group of Night Creepers infiltrated the Amalgamated Superconductor Core building in New Jersey while they were testing Dr. Sid and Dr. Biggles Jones' new railgun. They got inside the perimeter, then attacked security, surprising them as they jumped out of their garbage truck. This was again Aleph, Gimel, Shin, and Teth. Shin got to the railgun and reported back to Aleph, who was busy killing the security guards. They now successfully had the railgun for Cobra Commander. Meanwhile, another cell of Night Creepers attacked a moving train to steal MIRV warheads from ICBMs that were bound for disassembly due to disarmament treaties. Then, yet another group of Night Creepers surfaced in a submarine in the mid-Pacific to take over a Japanese-owned container ship in order to steal crates of microchips. Yet more Night Creepers in Germany stole a chemical weapons tanker rig filled with Scud warhead agents. And then even more hijacked a commercial airliner over the Atlantic Ocean because one of the passengers on board was holding details of dirty dealings by a major defense contractor in a briefcase that was handcuffed to his wrist. The only team that hadn't reported back yet to Cobra Commander was the Night Creeper team in New York City. That team ended up having an unfortunate run-in with Ninja Force, again at the site of Storm Shadow's old water tower hideout. They had Snake Eyes surrounded, but that didn't last very long. Being accountants, they were overconfident in their overwhelming numbers and odds, but Snake Eyes managed to still take them all out. Night Creeper leader told Cobra Commander that the field creepers were either wiped out or captured, but they compartmentalized their intelligence so their true mission wouldn't be compromised even by those who were captured. Night Creeper leader also told Cobra Commander that his night hackers had accessed US Army financial records and they were monitoring Scarlet, who was on vacation in the Swiss Alps. Cobra Commander then sent Zarana and Roadpig to capture Scarlet. Meanwhile, more Night Creepers took a Paralyzer tank to Andrews Air Force Base to try to steal a B-2 stealth bomber which was parked at the tarmac. Turns out though that it was a trap and Ninja Force were waiting for the raiding party. Apparently one of the captured creepers, despite that compartmentalization, gave up details of this mission in exchange for federal witness protection. He also told the G.I. Joes about Cobra Commander's plan to make Silent Castle his new base, and with all of the stolen and intercepted weapons and technology, he would sell them back on the black market for massive profits. A few issues later, Scarlet was in a hospital in the town of Millville when Megatron and the Decepticons were in town. When Ninja Force found themselves outside her hospital window, they again countered the Night Creepers. Night Creeper leader was now looking more in line with the G.I. Joe's ninja aesthetic, clad in orange and black with swords and weapons and a headband covering his eyes. Night Creeper leader then went mano a mano with Snake Eyes. He said he had mastered the counter to the Arashikage Dance of the Demons, along with 2,000 forms of the ancient masters, but not all of them. Snake Eyes took him out with the Arashikage mindset. In 2011, for ARAH issue 167, the Night Creepers made their return to the Hama Helm series once IDW Publishing picked up the original Marvel run with the same numbering. Here, Firefly and Crystal Ball coordinated with the Night Creepers to stage an assault on the Chrysler Building in New York, which housed Joe Coatlin's laser and targeting system at the top. So while Firefly and Crystal Ball made their ascent via the stairwell, the Night Creepers took over the Bell 407 helicopters on a helipad belonging to Manhattan Helitours. Inbound, one said they should have Wagner's Ride of the Valkyries blaring, evoking Coppola's Apocalypse Now. They were going to rappel down and assault the fake ad agency serving as protection for Colton's setup, but then Destro and Baroness lit them up on radar as they buzzed by in a Night Raven. So the Night Creepers got spooked and they broke off, leaving Crystal Ball and Firefly on their own. In issue 211, Storm Shadow, Granny, and Raymond battled some Night Creepers and Techno Vipers in Japan. The Night Creepers now had biosensors implanted in their temples, and when their blood pressure went too low, they'd blow up. This was technology made by Revant Robotics in Yokohama, the same ones who'd stood up their own tech ninja clan called the Blue Ninjas. Later, when Scarlet took Throwdown to her High Sierra cabin to recover after his injuries on the Rhodian mech, an army of Night Creepers monitored them from the brush outside, waiting for their time to ambush the two G.I. Joes. And as they rallied for their assault, another team of G.I. Joes ambushed them, taking them out with silent and suppressed weapons under the cover of night. Night Creeper leader managed to get through the G.I. Joe's deadly gauntlet and breach the front door of the cabin, only to find Scarlet and Sean waiting for him, which is when Throwdown cut the NVG and mask from Night Creeper leader's face so he couldn't see. Night Creeper leader emptied an entire magazine from his submachine gun in panic and wound up ambushed outside by Sean, Scarlet, and Timber. They walked him past his dead team, and then Scarlet let him go to bring a message to Cobra Commander. Night Creeper leader and another Night Creeper were brought before Cobra Commander to answer for this detachment's failure in the forest. The message, it was right next to him. That second Night Creeper was Snake Eyes in disguise, and as he ripped off his Night Creeper costume, Snake Eyes lunged at Cobra Commander on his throne, cut his face, and then escaped. Much later, we find Bats, Night Vipers, and Night Creepers, though here they're called Night Crawlers, attack a gas station in New Jersey belonging to the Dreadnoks, but it was packed with 55-gallon drums and detonators, and they all died, allowing the Dreadnoks to get away on their Thunder Machine. When the plot was hatched for Laura 343 to capture Sean Collins, with Cobra still thinking Sean as Snake Eyes, Laura gathered a force of troopers, vipers, and creepers at the house outside the base and staged for their attack. For the subsequent all-hands-on-deck G.I. Joe rescue mission to Springfield, Night Creepers were some of the Cobra forces staged to ambush the airborne and ninja teams inside the Springfield Community Center. Night Creeper leader took control of the situation 2 floors down, ordering Vipers and CGs to hold the hallway and stairs while other Night Creepers were tasked with killing Sean. CG Immortal killed the lights, allowing the Night Creepers to creep in the night. They encountered Snake Eyes and Laura in a darkened hallway, with Snake Eyes' only defense an Alley Viper's shield. And again, Snake Eyes managed to take them out. Creepers helped protect Cobra Commander also after he was wounded in the firefight, and were the first to go when the G.I. Joe's combined forces met them head-on in a hallway. And that's where we leave them for now, but rest assured they're still out there, creeping in the shadows, waiting for their moment to strike once again. During the Devil's Due era, the Night Creepers helped the Crimson Twins break Major Blood out of the Coffin prison in Greenland, and later aided Crystal Ball in America's Elite. During the Devil's Due continuity, Aleph was excommunicated, so he joined the Plague and took on the name Incision, but Incision decision was later killed by Storm Shadow. Josh Koenig voiced Night Creeper leader for the G.I. Joe Deke animated series. In Revenge of the Pharaohs, the Night Creepers kidnapped Lady J, followed by helping guard the president in the episode Injustice in the Cobra Way. Their most prominent episode was called Night of the Creepers and found them jumping out of hurricanes, and they even had their uniform worn by mummies later on. In D-Day at Alcatraz, we see them at a deli fighting the G.I. Joes, and then in Stuck on You, they were attacking Skyhawks after looking for Cobra Commander. The first Night Creeper action figure hit retail shelves in the early part of 1990. These were the classic design and deco of the figure, and also were part of the TV commercials that year to promote them, and the new wave of figures. 1990's Ninja Force Night Creeper was now blue and pink, so you could see him with his new chopping arm action. Also in 1993, Night Creeper Leader was released. Actually, he was released in 90, but you couldn't see him due to his Supreme Ninja skills, and that's why here he was called Ninja Supreme Master. In 94, Night Creeper Leader swapped out the orange and black for gold and purple. That year's Night Creeper had a temperature color change gimmick to it. In 1998, Night Creeper was included in a Toys R Us 3-pack called Polar Force, along with Firefly and Snow Serpent. Instead of the garish colors of prior versions, he now had an appropriate colorway for an Arctic environment. The 2003 Spy Troops version of Night Creeper was included in a 2-pack with Kamakura, and here he came with a diver's loadout, including scuba gear borrowed from a G.I. Joe named Wetsuit. The 2004 version of Night Creeper was part of a TRU exclusive set called Strike Team Urban Division, and was included with Firefly, Storm Shadow, Scrap Iron, Cobra Nullifier, and Alley Viper. The figure released in 04 for the Valor vs. Venom line was another 2-pack, this time with Dr. Talbot. And yet another 2-pack that same year for the same line, but this time he was packed with Ninja Trooper. There was another figure released in 05, but this one was just the figure and was presented at discount. But also in 05, there was another release as DTC. This time he was boxed with a Cobra Hist tank. Then for the 25th anniversary line in 2009, Night Creeper was put in the Defense of Cobra Island box set with Dr. Mindbender and a lot of other Cobra Vipers and baddies. That same year, there was also an exclusive 2-pack at Walmart where he was sold alongside a Shock Blast. In 2016 for FSS, another Night Creeper was sold, this time painted and described as the Cobra Ice Ninja. Recently, the Snake Eyes G.I. Joe Origins line released a Night Strike Night Creeper. To sum up the Night Creepers, we turn to a quote from a file card which describes them best. All evidence seems to indicate that the Night Creepers have the drive and scruples of Wall Street stock manipulator, the lethal skills of a master martial artist, and the stealthy talents of a cat burglar. To make matters worse, they're backed by the latest and most sophisticated anti-detection and weapons technology in the world. It's as if Attila the Hun had a black belt at MBA and was armed with lasers. That's a wrap on this one, my friends. I'm Jesse, this is JLS Comics, and I'll see you soon.